there, it's Lee Stranahan. Welcome to our second weekend challenge for Citizen Journalism School. This is a fun one. I really think you're going to learn a lot from it. And it's not that hard. You have to write 5 headlines. Let me explain. It's in the written material here, but this is about framing. So I've talked about this before and on some of the Q&As. Framing is this idea. George Lakoff, who's a professor at UC Berkeley, well-known Democrat, has talked a lot about framing. And framing is the idea of putting information into a context, okay? And Democrats are great at this. They like to pretend Republicans invented it. Not true. And Republicans do it as well. Everybody does it. And what I'm going to have you do is take a story, any story in the news. You can pick the story. And I want you to write 5 headlines for it. So framing is this idea of putting information in context, and that means tailoring it to your reader and tailoring it to deliver a specific message beyond the message that you're expressing. And I give some examples of this using a story that, as we're recording this video, is just breaking Anthony Weiner's pleading guilty to sending obscene material to a minor. And I give 5 different examples. What I want you to do is I want you to pick whatever story you want. Write 2 frames, 2 headlines from a left frame, 2 headlines from a right frame. 2 of them blatant, 2 of them subtle. In other words, a blatant left, blatant right, subtle left, subtle right. And you can see the examples I give, right? And again, the way to think about it maybe is a publication, right? InfoWars writes blatant right-wing headlines. Slate writes blatant left-wing headlines. These aren't subtle, okay? The New York Times writes generally more subtle left-wing headlines, and the Daily Caller writes generally more subtle right-wing headlines. A publication like Breitbart, it depends, okay? So that's 4 of the headlines I want you to write on any story of your choosing. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a contemporary story. It could be a historical story if you want. Anything. Anything. And then I want you to write 1 flat, straight news headline that tries to have no frame whatsoever. And again, there's no real criteria. I'm just going to pick the one I think is best. And what you'll get is you'll get a package of material about framing. You'll get a book about framing and a book about, you'll get actually 2 books, one from the left and one from the right, talking about this idea of framing and language, you know, that you can then learn more about. So I think this is going to be fun. Now, there's one other part to this that's not part of the challenge. There's a second video below. Don't watch that video until you've written your 5 headlines. Just don't. You'll see why when you see it. But don't watch it. I know I'm teasing you, but don't watch it. I know you really want to watch it now. Don't watch it until you've written your 5 headlines. Trust me on this. Write the 5 headlines first, then watch it. It's not part of the contest, but it's an interesting educational part of this. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the challenge. It's a beautiful day in DC, and I hope it's beautiful wherever you are. And if it's not, well, stay inside and do the weekend challenge. Till next time, I'm Lee Stranahan.